After filming, we realized that we weren't in frame and we'll have to redo this whole thing.
Wait, no.
So we're like, hey, remember the podcast you made? Yeah, like half of your face was invisible.
It didn't come in. Okay.
Rahmat, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good. You?
I'm good. Okay. It's not like we've been talking for the last like few minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah. So how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
So the first question I usually ask is what your definition of quality education is.
Okay. My definition of quality education is basically when education is able to like teach different types of things. Like if a kid likes arts, the education is able to like encompass arts.
Mm-hmm.
If they like science, the education is able to like help them. So basically like helping students get to where they need to be.
Alright, so I'm guessing like it should be like all encompassing, you know?
Yes, or as best as it can be to encompass as much as
what does that look like, as best as it can be?
Encouraging students. Not every kid is going to be a scientist. Not every kid is going to be a mathematician. Ooh. So like for the students who just aren't those things, education should be able to like help those kids as well. And for the students who are those things, education should be able to help them and challenge them. So something that's challenging but also encouraging.
Oh, okay, cool. To me personally, exams are challenging. They're a huge challenge.
Valid.
Yeah, so how do you think we should approach examinations, testing, you know? Because personally for me, I feel like I thrive more with like takeaway exams where I can like metacognize, if that's a word, and I can like think about what I'm doing and just like have a good product. I don't thrive well in like sitting and alright, like don't give me a pop quiz. I will hate that, you know. I don't work well with pop quizzes. So how do we make it so that like the tasks are challenging but still like they nurture us to like be better people, be better students, be better learners?
I think one thing that I've always liked or appreciated is teachers who can actually teach. I feel like if you're a teacher who doesn't know how to teach, you kind of like, I hate to say it, but you're kind of doing the most by expecting these crazy things from your students. Because yes, your student can learn these things on their own. Like according to our current education system, you're supposed to like go study by yourself and learn these things on your own. But then what's the purpose of the teacher if the teacher is not there to teach? Then again, you have to think some kids don't want to be taught. Some kids don't want to be taught. But more on like your question, I think one thing that we could do is, again, giving resources. I think not everyone is going to know it, like, or have all those resources to prepare themselves. Like, there's certain books that certain students might have that other students might not be able to afford. Like, certain math textbooks, or, for example, SAT. Certain kids had to use, like, maybe Khan Academy, and maybe having the Princeton SAT textbook would have helped them a lot, but they couldn't get that. So I think making resources as accessible as possible and making sure that teachers actually want to be teaching, want to be in the environment that they're in, and are willing to help children or students if they're struggling with a certain thing without making them feel like they're stupid.
Without making them feel like they're stupid. I feel like, honestly, America does a good job in like not making you feel like you're stupid, honestly.
Yes.
Like back in Kenya, there's some teachers who could be like, if you're starting to say something, they'd be like, stop right there, just don't go on, go kill yourself.
Oh wow.
No, I'm tripping. The last part is like an exaggeration. But yeah, I feel like over here, since I came to like the US, I realized that a lot of teachers, like, they like encourage you to like answer questions. For example, in my econ class, like sometimes like someone answers a question and the professor is like, okay, yeah, you're almost there, you know, and the person is like not there, like they're far,
but close, you'll get there.
Yeah, so like I'm wondering, you know, like how do we, is that a good thing where like when, despite the fact that people are wrong, like we still tell them that you're almost there, or should we like try to push them in a certain way, you know?
I think it depends on how you do it. If it's like a condescending, oh, you're almost there, like then it's like, yo, you're making me feel bad. Like it's very discouraging. But if it's like, maybe let's take a step back and try to figure out what you're missing. Like let's connect the dots. I'll help you. I think it's different. Like I feel like you have to be encouraging as like to yourself, and also the teacher should help you by encouraging you. But at the same time, they shouldn't like lead you astray by always telling you that you're almost there when you are not almost there. I feel like giving you guiding tools to get there is important, but again, we shouldn't lie to students.
Yeah.
Because when we lie to students, it's like we give them this like high self of, how do you say it? Like high self of knowing it all, and then they actually don't know it all, and then when they get a test and all you've been telling them is that they're almost there, the test is graded by did you get this right or did you get this wrong, and they get everything wrong, so they end up not knowing anything or learning anything. So in that situation, I think it's important for like teachers or especially the community to of course try to encourage students and let them know that, hey, like you're not there but you could be there, like especially that you're not there but you could be there, rather than just like false positivity. Sometimes I think positivity is good, but false positivity or overused positivity can be extremely detrimental to the student and their mental health.
And okay, I feel like also the way that they encourage us helps us like to participate more, because like I would be encouraged to like raise my hand and answer a question because I know that okay, they're going to bash me up. So like that's 1000% that's true. And you know, you've talked about like mental health, so like I'm wondering again, like how do we raise a society where like the pressure is there, of course, like there's a pressure of like making the world a better place, like acing and like being a better student and having good grades, but you know, you should not like that should not come at the detriment of your mental health.
I think especially in our school, or a lot of schools honestly, even around the world, like Asia and Africa, there's just such a big emphasis on like doing well on exams, doing well on everything. Sometimes sacrificing yourself, your mental health, your food, your water, everything just to get like a good score on an exam. I think even here, like there's this whole culture where it's like you go to Butler and you grind for 12 hours or 24 hours, and that's just the culture. And I think when we do things like that, like yes, it does help us maybe possibly get the grades that we want. But then when we don't, it really puts us in such a depressive state, because you did put in that 12 to 24 hours into Butler studying, and you still did not scratch the average. Or you missed out on doing so many other things that you could have done in that moment, like things that you will not get to do again, and you still didn't do well. So I think sometimes we come into like a lot of these things with the mentality that if we do all these things, if we cram, if we let go of our mental health for this one moment, that later on we'll be able to like treat ourselves again. But what if you never get a chance to treat yourself? What if like you don't do well on the exam and now you have to play catch up even more? And then it's just like your mental health keeps going back. You're like, oh, like next week I'll do something for my mental health, and then next week I'll take a break, I won't go to Butler. But that doesn't happen. So it's like I think one thing is that you need to know when to take a break. Like yes, you want to get those grades, because in order to succeed, you have to be willing to compete. But at the same time, you can't compete when your brain is fractured. Like you can't compete when you're at a loss and you can't even find yourself, when you can't enjoy anything, when you're not enjoying what you're doing. So I think in order to help us with our mental health, we have to truly be enjoying what we're doing, rather than just doing things because we think that later on it's going to yield a positive result. Because what if it doesn't? Then what do you do then?
What do you do to not like burn out and crash out?
Here, like I've come to the realization that, you know, you were a big fish in a small pond, and now you're a small fish in a really big pond. So it's just such a big change. And one thing that I do is I sleep a lot. I can't, like, sleeping is just something that I do. I think when you sleep, you really get to think about lots of things. Also, like, maybe, like, some people like to draw, sketching. Personally, I like to watch a lot of TV shows. I just sit down, I relax, I sleep, I draw if I need to. If I want to paint, I paint. If I want to talk to my family members, I do. I think having a good relationship with your family is also really important. Because, again, going to a school like this, or any school, honestly, especially if you're coming from a different background or a different way of living, it can be really difficult. So having the support system, having friends who are willing to like pull you out of a slump or stuff like that is really important, and it really means a lot.
On like coming from a different background, I remember when I flew from Kenya, like coming here like during the fall semester, and there was this meme of like international students, we just got here, like we just arrived, honestly, and I'm like recovering from jet lag, and my professor is talking about the midterm. I'm still learning how to use Canvas. You know, it was very interesting. I mean, let me use Canvas first. You know, it was very interesting. But yeah, I also wanted us like to reflect on like so far. You know, today I was talking to someone, and it's very interesting because like the time we have left for our freshman year. Is lesser. Less, is that a word? It's less. It's less than the time we have, like the time that has passed. So it means that we are closer to finishing freshman year than we were like starting it. And yeah, it's quite interesting, honestly. Like there's no going back. We only have like half of like a semester left. So what are the lessons that you've learned, that you've, you know, some perspective that you've gotten since you came to college?
Perspective wise, if you don't know how to study, you need to know how to study. I think, again, just coming from the background that I do, it's you never really had to put in like the work really to study, because if you went to class, your teacher is gonna teach you and you're just gonna ace it. Here you're going to be lectured, right? 90% of the time it's a lecture, so your teacher is reading off of a slide. Like, I'm not saying there's no passion there, but sometimes it doesn't give that there's a passion. Like, in office hours, they're amazing, but like some, you're not able to make all the office hours. You can only make class time, and during class, you're really not getting what you think you should be getting. So you really have to be willing to put in that effort, like, outside of class. So
I'm wondering, first of all, like, how did your classes look like when you're in high school? Because you've talked about how, like, here is a lecture. So was it more of a seminar or a discussion section?
Yes, no. All my classes were pretty small. Like, none of my classes ever passed, like, 25 students. Like, all the teachers you were close to pretty much because you just knew them. It's really small classes. And you talk to these people, you get to know these people. Like, if you're like, it's just easier because they're willing to like match your level, because there's just such a small amount of students that they can easily match everyone. But with classes like that we do take now, majority of the classes are going to be like at least like 40 students. Like, yes, of course we have our side discussions and stuff like that are like smaller, but the average class is like, you know, like 40 plus students, and a teacher just simply cannot match all 40 students. It's not going to work out. So they can only lecture as best as they can, which can be difficult for students who are not used to that. For example, I am not used to that. So I'm learning to like match that, or learning how to make use of that.
Okay, so the first thing is like you should know to study. It's quite interesting because you've talked about how like in high school you could just like listen to the professor, to your teacher, and like...
No, I feel like it's easier. Is it not? Like...
Okay, for me personally, I feel like in high school, like, yes, we'd like listen to our teachers and stuff, but I had to also like go out of my way and like do test questions and test papers, stuff like that. Like, it didn't end from the class. Like, of course I had to like concentrate in class, but I had to do a lot of like consultation and like a lot of background work to like, you know, pass exam.
No, again, it's because, again, I went to a weird school, so because my school was weird, the way I learned things was weird.
How so?
And now I'm going to what you would consider a normal school, I guess. But
it's normal.
Yeah, no, like normal as in like big classes. Like I'm talking like class size, right? So you really have to like actually put in the work. And I'm used to putting in the work. I always put into work to whatever I do. But what I'm learning now is that you can put in so much work, so much time, so much effort, and you still don't make it. And you just have to deal with that, because if you're not able, if you're not able to deal with that, you're gonna struggle, and you're really gonna hurt yourself.
No, it's painful, honestly.
No, you could put in, I don't know, like 3 days of studying just for one exam, and then you get your score back, and you think, oh yeah, like I'm definitely acing this, and then you get a D or an F, and you're like, wait, what? Like, what happened here? Like, I thought.
So you'd say that the work over here is more voluminous, more technical than the one in high school?
Yeah, I think in high school, or at least my high school, is that if you put in the work, you're gonna get a benefit. You're gonna get a positive result, 100%. There's no way you're gonna get a negative result. Here, you can still put in the work, and you just won't do it, which is tough. But I think you just have to get like acclimated to that feeling, because again, college is about like, I guess, being in the adult world. Like, constantly you've been told by your parents that just because you put in a lot of effort into something does not mean it's going to go your way. And now you're actually just realizing that. So
I feel like that ties to the narrative that we've gotten like when you're growing up. There was this YouTube post I saw of how like someone, how they expected the world to be, and it was like a child's book. And you know how like children's books are usually, oh, it's a happy ending, they lived happily ever after, and stuff like that. So they make us like, they nourish us, they, I guess, socialize us through the literature we read to like understand like the world is this happy place where if I do something, like if input equals output, you know. And then you come out and you realize, oh wait, that's not the case. Like I have to like do an input and be, you know, open to the fact that probably the output won't be what I expected it to be, you know.
100%. Yeah.
Though like for me, honestly, I feel like for this situation over here, I feel like if I put my effort, I could actually get the outcome as compared to high school. Because for high school, like the final exam was like, it's based off of like someone who's marking your exam who doesn't understand your IQ. Like it's sent to this national center where like all exams are marked. So like you don't know the outcome, you know, and you're crossing your fingers, and it may go south, you know. So I feel like for Kenya it's more of a lottery than here in the US. And I feel like over here, like it's been tailored to like, the system has sort of been tailored to make it work for someone, you know. Like we have class participation which count for the grade, we have like office hours, we have discussion sections and stuff like that. Though in the essence of like putting in as much as I would say like, okay, yes, if I put in the work, it will like work out, there's also this element of like, okay, try to put in the work, and probably like I have a deadline like due today, I have another deadline due tomorrow, and I have to like figure out which one should I like work on and like put in the work, and like which one should I forgo, or like working with deadlines. So sometimes if I procrastinate and like I crash out for 20 hours and do something, I know that that should not be the outcome that I want, because like of course I crashed out and like just did the assignment because I have to do the assignment, and sometimes it may not work out in that light. But if I start early and then like put in the work, you know, systematically, like I scaffold through it, I feel like I will get the outcome. I hope I don't get my heart broken.
No. I just think I just think it's because, again, like difference, like I don't know, like Kenyan education system is different from American education system. So that's I can understand like what you're saying.
So honestly what I believe right now is if I just put in the work, my motto since like I started the second semester was like starting early, because last semester I was free for the most part. Then I'm like, I'm so free, I should like be doing something. Then like I get to the deadline and I start like working for like 20 hours, and like because if I work for 20 hours, of course I didn't like get time to like understand the content, so I don't like put something that is contemplative, you know, that is critically thought, you know. So I would obviously like not put out a good work, and as much as I, like I've submitted it like by the deadline, but it's not like critically thought out, you know. But right now, since I've like started early, like I feel like it's worked out so far, you know. Yeah, that's
understandable.
So you were talking about the lessons, your reflections, and you talked about how like you should know how to study. So what else do you have?
Know how to have fun and take a break.
Okay, cool.
Because like, yes, of course you have a lot of work to do, but then at the same time you also have to be willing to like take a break, because if you're not going to take a break, you're just going to burn out. And then if you burn out, then you're gonna have to like take a break. Like you're gonna have to take a break. So why not take the little breaks when you can versus when you have to? You know?
How do you have fun?
Oh, yeah. I eat. I think food is good. Like before I came here, I was at the diner. And then I also, again, I talk to like family, friends, and stuff like that. Like, I would say that like, majority of my time or on my phone, I spend talking to friends or family. I think stuff like that just keeps you grounded, especially in the journey that you're trying to take. Like sometimes it can be tough, but if you have the people who are there to like help you, that makes it a whole lot better. And then I think another thing that you can do that, or I do, that can be fun is watching shows. I think watching TV or something interesting like that is really good. I know many people don't have time for that, but I do because I make time for it. So I watch a lot of YouTube. I like to have fun. Yeah. Okay,
cool.
And I've been going to the gym with a friend.
Ooh,
so
interesting.
Yeah,
gym. It's a very good dimension. I used to take walks in Riverside Park during like fall, autumn season, that type of, colorful season. Then like it got winter and it was like
Take
cold.
a break.
Yeah, but do you think that there is a thing as a thing like work-life balance?
Yeah, of course.
Interesting. Because for me, I feel like, if I choose to work, honestly, if I like choose to like focus on my work, most of the time like I don't get time to rest, or not even resting. I feel like resting. No. Let me scratch that, because like I get 8 hours of sleep most of the time. I just like barely get time to do other things. So I'll like work, maybe there's a work sleep balance, but I sometimes have to forego my social life because I'm working and I have to like focus, and like, focus on my studies. So like how do you create the balance now that you say that there's a work-life balance?
I think, again, planning things like with your friends or something is always really good. Like if you schedule a day, like so weird, you have to schedule to meet people now.
Yeah.
Like in high school you just saw them.
Yeah.
I see you at lunch, you want to go eat together, sure, but now you have to schedule. And I think
it's funny because in high school we used to like run to go to the dining hall.
Okay.
Like, yeah, and then I guess we didn't like plan to see each other, but
Yeah.
we'd meet each other at the lunch table. But yeah. Go on.
Same. I think, yeah, like, you just have to plan to meet people. Like, certain days, like, you just set that aside and you're like, okay, I'm not going to do anything. Like, not anything, but I'm going to do little schoolwork today. That's one thing. Like, today was my chill day. Like, I was just chilling in my room. Then I, like, did a call with my family. Then I did something else. And I did just, like, chill, you know? I think sometimes, like, certain days, you just have to, like, find a way to make them, like, the easy day. Or the chill day.
What is your chill day?
Chill day would, again, just be mostly, like, actually tomorrow's going to be more of my chill day because I'm going to go outside, hang out with my friend. Cool. But, usually, like, a chill day would be just, like, being outside, like, maybe, I don't know, being outside, like, again, talking to family or something like that, talking to friends, painting or, like, doing something that's, like, chill. Listening to music, just being in your own space, I think that can be really good. Like, being in your own space is just something that, like, you learn to value more. Yeah.
1000%.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, I'm in my own space.
Yeah.
And there's this one time, I don't know where I was at, but I texted my friend and I was like, I'm just sitting by myself and I love it. Like, it was so nice.
Yeah.
And I just cherish those moments where, like, I'm longing to come back to my room because my room is my safe place. Honestly, this is the first time we're filming in my room, so you're very lucky to come to my room. But yeah, like coming to my room. So actually, that is one of the reasons why I'm like scared of like sophomore housing, because I'm probably going to get a roommate. So if my roommate watches this in the future, love you. But yeah, like having that time for yourself and like chilling. Do you feel like you've been having that time for yourself? Like, have you had to cultivate that time for yourself, or has it been something that has been inherent and you'd be like, from I guess 5 years old, you'd be like, yeah, I need to take time for myself?
No, I've always been the type of person who took time for themselves, and I think I'm learning the opposite is to like try to study more. Like I would say most of my life I've always been able to take breaks. Like that's just something that I do. Like I sleep every single day at least 8 hours. I don't ever sleep less than 8 hours. It's impossible for me. So I'm trying to learn how to do the opposite. Like I'm trying to learn how to do the opposite.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Okay, for me also, like I get 8 hours to sleep. Yeah. So that sometimes now I have like work and sleep. So like getting that time for social time, is quite hard for me. Yeah. So last time we met, the last time like we had a long conversation. Yeah. We were going to do the Froci, I guess, final midterm.
Yes.
And we didn't study for it.
We did not study. We did not.
Yeah, and your professor sent us an email at like 1 a.m. saying that if you are still awake right now, go to bed. So yeah, we had a very in-depth conversation, and yeah, I'm wondering, because it was very insightful, but I feel like we addressed a lot of problems. And I'm wondering, like, how do you like maintain optimism that things are going to be better for like the world in general, and how do you like, what is your process? Are you passionate in like maybe making the world a better place, in the sense of like I don't know policy. I'm more of like inclined to policy. I know you're pre-med.
Yeah.
So yeah, first of all, like how do you maintain optimism?
I think naturally I would say I'm an optimistic person. I can be a bit pessimistic. Like certain things I think I'm a little too realist on. Like the whole thing about failure, whether you like it or not. I hate to say it, but you're gonna have moments where you fail, and you just have to pick yourself back up. You have to be willing to pick yourself back up. So that's like a realist side of me. But overall, I would say I can be a little too optimistic. Like I'm always trying to look for a way that something or someone can be a good person, or something can be better. And like you said, yes, I am pre-med. I'm hoping that along this journey, I'm able to hopefully become a doctor. And we talked about this, like a lot of my goals, like going back, giving back, stuff like that. It's very typical, but it is something that I wholeheartedly believe in. At some point in my life, I also thought about doing policy or politics or something like that. But I realized that maybe that's not the perfect route for me. But I hope that one day in the future I can possibly use my medical degree to get into some form of policy, maybe not politics, but I think policy is really important, whether it be helping, Africa get to a point where we can feel comfortable with renewable energy. I don't know, getting to a point where like, I don't know, just like to a point where, I don't know, healthcare is just like a universal thing. Maybe that's like a crazy thing to say, but I think ever since I was little, I've always been passionate about a couple things, and I felt like one thing that I feel that combines them all is becoming a doctor and then getting into some form of policy. So this is just the first step. I don't plan to be a doctor forever. I don't want to be a doctor forever. I want to use it as a way to help people, and then use it to further help people through policy some way, somehow.
How did you know that you wanted to be a doctor? Like, was there a defining moment, an aha moment, or like, maybe being a doctor is all right for me, or is it something that you've like contemplated and like got into that realization?
I think I wouldn't say 100% knew that I always wanted to be a doctor. It's just I felt like that was the easiest way. Not the easiest. Being a doctor is hard. Taking pre-med classes is hard. But that was like one of the routes that I felt like I could see myself taking or feel passionate about in order to accomplish my goals later on. Like we talked about this, like we talked about what healthcare means, what all these education means, what I don't know, rights mean. We talked about so many things that night, I don't even remember, but yeah, like I feel like being a doctor is just a step in that direction to truly helping people, to truly making things better in this world, because I wholeheartedly believe in the principle that if everyone knows that their health is like secure, like if they get sick or something, that they won't just die like from fever, like they can have their fever treated, if they feel that those things can happen, then in my personal opinion, I think the world is a better place because people know that they are safe. If people do not feel safe, if people do not know that they are safe, whether it be in their healthcare or their security or with their government, they start to riot. They start to do a bunch of things. They forego education, for example. I mean, that's the topic of this, right? They forego education. They just don't do a lot of things that would overall benefit society. And I think two things that really make it so that society does not lose focus is making sure that there is a guarantee for healthcare and making sure that there's food. If those two things are gone, then everyone just does whatever. If there's no security, everyone just does whatever, and then the world really does become a really, really bad place.
Yeah, in our econ class, there's this thing where we learned about like when government should intervene in like businesses, and one of the reasons is like for ethical reasons, and that's ethical reasons were when livers, like you can't sell like livers to like anyone. You need like this
permission.
Permission of like maybe the one with the most need, because if you just like say the highest bidder should like get the liver, then Elon Musk gonna get like a good liver, but like my professor used the example of like grandma. What about grandma? She's gonna get a terrible liver.
Yeah.
Like we have this like leftover liver over here. Does she want that? Or like healthcare and food. Those were the other like options or the other points where like they should really regulate like the healthcare market. That's where the livers come in, and the food market. It's quite interesting. So yeah, I don't know. It's quite interesting, honestly. The healthcare system, I feel like it should be very multifaceted, you know, because I feel like sometimes we approach it in a very like one lens, you know, dimension, where if we like, as you've said, like approaching healthcare and policy and having that merge, because like if someone approaches it like in the sense of like, okay, you're gonna like treat people and make people better, but if like the policy aspect is not good, then the medicine like will not be getting into like the right way, right? Yeah, what do you think about that?
I think yes, if medicine and policy are really intertwined, but I think that people forget that. I don't want to get into the politics of anything, but I think that like in order for medicine or healthcare to truly be sound, there has to be policies that are guiding it. Like that's why like at some point like I wanted to work in the government as well. I mean, not anymore, because I thought that, you know, like working in the government, I could help with these policies that make sure that healthcare is like actually for everyone and not just like a select few, like you said. Elon Musk gets all the good livers and grandma gets a scrap of a liver. Like, yeah, like I think conversations like that, they need to happen, because I think especially like third world countries, that issue is very prevalent, where like the highest bidder is the one who gets the liver. Like your grandmother and like the president of, I don't know, some African country, I don't want to name any because I don't want to put anyone on the spot.
There'll be assassination.
But
that's a brave choice.
Some African nation, like let's say they both need livers, and your grandma has like stage something, the highest stage of some disease, while the president only has the lowest stage, and he can survive like a couple years. Like he can wait for another liver. Your grandma
can wait it out.
Your grandma cannot wait for the liver. But if we live in such a society that does not have proper policies guiding it, regardless of whatever the situation is, the president is going to get the liver, because he's a person of more status or more importance than grandma. Which is not true, because grandma means a lot to us. Yeah. So it's like if we don't have these policies, it's really going to corrupt the healthcare system. I think currently there's already like a lot of corruption in the healthcare system, if we're being honest, with like privatization of healthcare and stuff like that. I mean, there's a reason why certain things happen. And I think it's so sad, because like you would think that things like food and healthcare would be some of the like least privatized things, like a basic, you know, America basic human rights. But I don't know, like I guess the older you get, the more you see things and you're like, oh shoot, like this actually really sucks. So yeah.
We met in JJ's as well.
Yeah.
We meet in JJ's a lot.
We meet in JJ's a lot.
And you told me about your UW essay. You talked about like you're doing what section are you doing?
Oh yeah, I'm doing the race and ethnicity.
Race and ethnicity, yeah. And you talked about accents, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so can you please walk us through that?
Oh, okay. So my UW essay is not what you think. It was okay, so currently in our UW class we're talking about like, well, my essay was about accents, right? About like how there's kind of like a hierarchy of language, where like I'll give an example, like English is the base language, right? Everyone speaks English, not everyone, but let's say a good like 60% of the world speaks English, but the English accent that you hear from America is different from the one that you hear from China, the one that you hear from Colombia, the one Colombia.
Okay, yeah.
The one that you hear from Colombia,
Uh-huh.
the one that you hear from Senegal. Like it's different. Every single country has their own like interpretation of what English. Sorry, how did I forget UK? The English that you hear from the UK. So it's like everyone has their own interpretation of what the language can sound like, or how the language sounds like when they are speaking that language. But my essay kind of talked about how like we have this hierarchy of language, where the more like European language, well, not European, but the more British or American the English sounds, the more like educated said person is seen. And personally, like, I've seen this. Like, I've seen, like, situations where, like, say someone who has, like, a strong Hispanic accent, like, you don't even know. Like, they could be from Colombia, Mexico. They have a strong Hispanic accent. And they've been treated badly because their accent is just so strong. But they're still speaking English, but people come with a bias of, I can't understand what they're saying, even if what they're saying is pretty clear. You know, I've had teachers from Pakistan, especially in my high school, right? We had a lot of foreign teachers, and sometimes the teachers would be trying to speak in English. I could understand them because I'm actively trying to understand them, and not dismissing them because of their accents. But of course, like, there are always going to be ignorant people who automatically just assume I'm not going to be able to understand this person because they speak Chinese. Like, their accent is so strong, I won't be able to understand them. And I find that extremely, like, dismissive, and that's kind of what my essay was about how, like, sometimes, like, these people, we have, like, a hierarchy of what a language should sound like. Like, French, for example. I know a lot of, like, French people, they really diss on, like, African French.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Because, like, we have this whole thing of, like, English accents and how they're different. I didn't realize that French accents are also different.
Oh, yeah, they are.
So interesting. That didn't cross my mind till I came here.
No, oh
my God.
I've seen the videos on YouTube where, like, there were, like, French people, like, dissing on, like, people's accents. So it's like, he doesn't speak good French.
Did you watch that in, like, the French language, or did you watch that in English?
Oh no, it was just like a commentary, and the guy was speaking in French, and then like there was subtitles.
Oh, subtitles. Yeah. Okay, cool. I was like, oh, you speak French?
No, I only know comment allez-vous. Like, that's it. Bonjour.
It's funny because now I'm saying this live. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Now my professor, he doesn't watch my videos anyway. So yeah, like this one time, like in my UW section, like my professor says that, you know, sometimes like we play music in class when you're writing, like when you're what's the word for that?
Drafting?
No, there's a specific word they use in UW.
Editing?
No. Free write. Focused free write. Do you use focused free write?
I don't know. UW teachers do different things.
Okay, cool. So like, yeah, we were focused free writing, I guess that's the word. And then like he asked, like, does anyone have a song suggestion? I was like, okay, I have a song suggestion, and I suggest like this French song. And he asked me like, do you know how to speak do you speak French? And I'm like, yeah, I speak French, and now he thinks that I speak French, that I can think probably in French.
Yeah.
And this other time, like, he had like this pamphlet that had these words in French, and it was like, okay, Angelica can read it for us. I swear. The last time I did French was like in primary school.
Yeah.
And I remember like when I was like trying to translate the French, the first words that could come to mind were like words from like this other language. Remember I told you that I'm Luo? Yeah. So like the first words would come from like the Luo language before like I could translate it to French. So it's just like, I know French, but I don't know French. Yeah. So yeah,
that's understandable.
Go on.
Oh no, that was pretty much it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so yeah, you were talking about your essay and how like accents cause a disparity. So I'm wondering like how is that related to like race and ethnicity? Do you like have to tie it back to race and ethnicity?
Well, I mean, I think stereotypical accents often come with a certain race, right?
Okay, cool.
Like when you hear an accent, like you can pick up, okay, this is a Chinese accent, and who's gonna have a Chinese accent? A Chinese person.
Yeah, it's not definitely Nigerian.
Nigerian. I mean, unless they were raised there.
Oh yeah.
You know, like it's like like, and then sometimes like because we attach the accent to the race, we often like come with certain stereotypes or biases against that accent, and then that also applies to said race. Like, I don't really want to get into this, but like everyone has certain biases. We would be lying if we said we didn't.
Yep.
And sometimes the first way we pick up on said bias or we mask our bias is by making fun of the accent of the person who we are biasing. Like, for example, like someone could, I'm just going to use Nigerian because I'm Nigerian and I don't want to get flack from any other community.
Okay, cool.
And like, let's say like you're making fun of like, you don't like Nigerian people, but rather than like outright saying that, like you'll make fun of the Nigerian accent and be like, oh, this sounds like scamming language, like it sounds like the language of the scammers, you know what I mean? Okay. And it's like you're masking your like inherent like biases against Nigerians. That's basically what I'm saying. Like sometimes like we use accents or we use other things to like mask our biases. And when we have that hierarchy of like accents, or when you have that hierarchy of accents, we often put the accents that speak the most like European. Like I'm just giving European because like Western, but I mean American or British. Not even American sometimes, but like the most posh, like we put them above. Like even in British, like in Britain there's even like an accent hierarchy where like the people who speak with the posh accent are at the top of the hierarchy. People who speak with like like an Essex accent or whatever, they're seen as ghetto or hood, because those people are more likely to be like maybe minorities or something. So there's also so I think it really does have a tie to race. I think it really does. And like sometimes like I've caught myself, I'm like, wait, why am I doing this? Like why am I making fun of this accent? And I realized, oh shoot, it's because I have this bias against these people, and I really have to work to like remove that bias. Yeah. Okay,
that's interesting. For me, my UW essay, 2 of my essays have been about race. My UW section is about urban studies. So how is race coming into this? It's quite interesting.
No, it's so funny. I feel like your urban studies class, if you guys are actually talking about race, is way more like race and ethnicities than my class, because all we've talked about was like language, like actually speaking, like tongue, not actually like the color of someone's skin. Like we haven't really talked about that. Like the main thing that we focused on was like how language has a relation to race, but we've never actually talked about how race is race. Like you get what I'm saying?
What are your readings about?
Like okay, we've had like 3 readings so far. 3 main readings. We've had like other readings, but the 3 main ones were Valery Luiselli, Tell Me How It Ends, I believe that's what it's called, and it's basically about like the immigration system. So that is very race, but like it's not directly talking about race, I guess, because she never really calls the people like directly racist. She implies a lot of things, like but it's never like outright in your face. Like you would expect like a race and ethnicities class to be just so outright, but it's not. And it just focuses on like humanizing like the kids who are being dehumanized by like media narratives who seek to like dehumanize them because they're migrants. And then the second one was, well actually the first one, but the first one was Kathy Park Hong and Bad English. This one focuses a lot on language and basically how like reclaiming bad English from like minority cultures is really important. Because sometimes like when someone speaks in a really strong like ethnic accent when speaking English, we frown. We're like, oh my goodness, like I can't understand. Can someone who speaks the language come and get this person? Because I can't do it. So basically, that essay focuses on like dissecting why people do these things and how to reclaim like the quote unquote bad English. And then
so they reclaim the bad English by like just embracing the way they speak.
Just embracing the way they speak, and that this is how my people speak, but I love it, and like who cares. And then the third one was Frantz Fanon's Black Skin White Mask. It's about about race. I feel like this is the most race we've gotten. But even this focuses a lot on language. Like it's talking about how like Antillean, which are like Black Caribbeans people, they like adopt like a French accent and throw away their Creole accent, which is like a mix of French and like other languages, in order to seem more educated.
That's interesting.
So that's basically what the section that we read was about, because we read sections of the whole book. So that's what the section we read was about. And basically those were the like 3 main. So all of them kind of focuses on language, and I guess the intersection between language and race, not ever so much race.
Okay, cool. Do you want us to take a break? Okay, cool. Yay. So you're talking about your writing section. And I wanted to ask you, out of the 3 texts you've read, which one is your best? And how do you like, because like we have this whole metacognition thing that I love, how do you feel like your way of thinking about stuff has evolved since you have taken not only new writing but say Fro-Sci or other classes say in college?
I think I really enjoyed reading like Valeria Luiselli's Tell Me How It Ends, because I think that's kind of an issue that's kind of happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so funny that even like 10 years ago, in 2014, like we still had the same issue. So it kind of, I don't know, it just makes you think. And I just liked how like Louise Shelley writes.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way she writes about things, it's on the nose, but it's not quite on the nose. Like the people who understand will pick it up, but the people who don't will ponder and think, what does she mean by this? Like, so I really enjoyed reading that. But the other two are also really good. Like when I was writing my essay, I had to like reread like all three of them, and I really did develop a keen liking for the other two. But since I wrote my first essay about Louise Shelley, like I have to like give her that. But overall, I would say now that I reread all three again, I really enjoy all three of them for different reasons. Like Fanon because it's quite like on the nose. Hong because she's reclaiming something that many people do not want to claim. Like people still get shamed for speaking bad English.
Yeah.
Like not people still, they've always been shamed.
Always been shamed.
And Louise Shelley is just like again an issue that's currently going on, and I think it kind of like shines light, and it's also good to hear from the perspective of someone who was somewhat in these kids' shoes and made it out. Now watching kids who are in a similar or were like who are in a similar situation that she was in. She's not in that situation anymore, but now she's tasked with the role of helping those people who were in a similar situation to her. So I found that really interesting, like the relationship between those two things.
So I'm wondering, like, in your writing, you've gotten this opportunity to like reread text. How have you been able to like evolve your way of reading? Have you like had to? Do you skim through the work? Do you just like read word to word? Do you use like auditory aid?
No, I've never been much of a reader, but one thing that I will give the school is that they've really made me like enjoy reading. Not really enjoy reading, but actually want to do it sometimes. Like before I came here, I was not a reader. I read like one book every 4 years, except for the one.
Much? I'm scared for you.
I was not a reader. I'm not ashamed to admit that, but maybe it's because I really struggle to like look for books, or I think I have really niche interests.
Okay.
Like I feel like a lot of the popular books are either like sci-fi, which turns out to be like a copy and paste of like Star Wars over and over, and then it's like a romance, which I do not care for. And then
depends.
I do not care
depends
for.
the circle of TikTok,
No.
the circle of book talk that you're in.
I'm not on BookTok or
yeah,
TikTok.
you're not on social media. Yeah, but it depends on the circle, I guess, because the specific people in this circle who like classics, for example. There's people who like self-help. There's people who like autobiographical books. You know, so it's all about you finding your circle.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I don't think I have a circle.
What type of books do you like?
I don't.
Oh my god, okay.
That's the answer right there. I don't have a genre that I like. I don't have any particular thing that I like. But if something is interesting enough, or if I'm forced to read it and I end up liking it, hey,
I totally get
like,
that. Yeah, I
like
get
Lit
that.
The books are fine.
Are they?
They're okay. They're interesting. I found some really good books that I really like from Lit Hum. So
what has been your favorite book in Lit Hum?
I don't have one.
What has been your favorite books? What have been?
What have been?
Yeah.
The only book that I've ever really liked was Wonder.
Wonder?
By R.J. Palacios.
No, we haven't read that. That's an
It's not a Lit Hum book.
It's gonna be like,
It's a book
which
that I read in
section
the
am I
4th grade.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's a book that I read in the 4th grade, and I've always loved that book. That's like the only book that I can like name out my mind that I love this book, or I really like this book.
Why did you love it?
I don't know. I just found it really interesting. Like my 4th grade teacher recommended it to me, and I was like, oh wait, I don't really want to read this. But then I read it, and I was like, whoa. And I read the whole series, and I really like it. I still do. Yeah. I mean, Lit Hum wise, like I think all the books were interesting for different reasons. So I don't really have a favorite. I mean, maybe like in a different moment I might prefer to read one over the other. Like the Aura style was really interesting, I think. But I wouldn't want to read that right now. Like Inferno was interesting, but I wouldn't want to read that right now. Yeah. Like right now I'm feeling Lais. But I don't really like Lais. So it's like
the lace?
Yeah, the lace. Is it lace or lace? I don't even know.
Lace.
I always thought it was Lais. Oh my god.
My friend cheers you right now.
No.
They'll be dying.
Oh my goodness. I thought it was lice. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's just.
Oh, it depends on the season.
It depends.
Yeah. For me as well, I feel like I would want to read, say, Confessions, like when we're reading it, and I would never want to read it ever again in my whole life. You know, like just take it away, burn the book. The whole publishing industry should just burn Confessions.
Yo,
by saying
Confessions is not that bad. Confessions is not that bad.
It was horrible.
Really?
It was horrid.
I enjoyed reading Confessions.
Ooh, now you see you like books now? I talking about Confessions?
I don't like books. I just don't. I don't like, not that I don't like books, but it's just like I don't know. I've like, I don't know. The books that we're reading are older books. Let's be honest here. These are older books. Yeah. These are classics. Yeah. So it's like there's a certain like that they have.
Yeah.
Modern day books, I don't know what they're doing.
I feel like it depends. Sometimes I feel like classic books are just like too hard to get through. You know, like I can't like read a classic book sometimes if I'm in the subway.
Yeah. And
I don't like that, you know. I want to read a book when I'm in the subway. And I feel like modern texts have done a good job in like making the books accessible and just like simple. And I can, as you've talked about like one of your texts in UW where like sometimes you can only infer what the author is trying to say.
Yeah. And
I feel like they should just make it easier and just like, you know, get as, of course they should be artistic, of course they should try to like, you know, use the creative side, but should that be at the detriment of like trying to pass the message, you know? Because at the end of the day they're trying to communicate, you know. I mean, if you communicate, would you prefer like, if say you're talking about, I don't know, the importance of medicine and pre-med and, you know, the whole medical industry, would you like to be very cryptic of what you're talking about, or would you like to like be direct and make people understand the necessity of the information?
I would prefer to be direct, but something that I like about classics though is that I like not feeling dumb. Like I feel like modern day books, like yes, they're really good, like there are some good books out here, but I feel like sometimes like the argument that you made can also like be the opposite. Yeah. Because like when you make books so simple, sometimes it's like you miss out on like figuring out what the book is. Yeah. Like some like I think one reason why like certain books like I forgot the name of the book. The not Game of Thrones, the other one.
I've never watched
the one with the dwarf, the Hobbit.
Oh, the Hobbit, cool. I've never watched the Hobbit.
I don't know any of those books. Like those mystery books. One thing that really made them sell was that even though Dune, for example, like one thing that really made them sell, even though they have such weird vocabulary, but normal for back in the day, was not really normal, but you know. The reason why they have those words is because the writer doesn't want you to like the writer's also trying to challenge you. Like they're not dumbing their narratives down for you. I'm not saying that things shouldn't be simple, but I don't think things should be dumbed down so much that like you lose the mystery of figuring out what the book is or trying to interpret the book. And like I think that's what also makes like rereading books sometimes kind of uninteresting sometimes nowadays, because when you reread a book, like when you read a lot of books nowadays, like when you read them you already get them, you know, you already get it. But like older books, like one thing that really made them popular was the fact that you had to read them so many times just to be like, oh my goodness, like wait, I missed this piece when I first read it, I missed this piece when I first read it. Like Stranger Things, a lot of reason why people like the first few seasons of Stranger Things was because it had so much mystery. Like every single episode you would see a new Easter egg. Like people really like Easter egg hunts, like they really do. And I feel like sometimes when you don't have those Easter eggs and you make books so simple, which I do, like I like simple books, but it's just like when you make them so simple, you make all books simple, it's like I don't know, it's just like I totally vibe with that
because like human beings, I feel like it's our nature to like try to solve mysteries and have a good challenge, and I feel like modern books do water down the necessity of like that mystical aspect of books. And I'm saying like, we should have easy books, and my favorite book is Beloved by Toni Morrison.
Oh my goodness, I've watched a part of the movie.
Oh, there's a film?
There's a movie.
I didn't know there was a film.
My 10th grade teacher was obsessed with Toni Morrison and she had us watch it, but we never finished it.
I'm discussing Toni Morrison, Song of Solomon this semester, so I'm excited. And I'm making a study guide as well. Okay. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, like I feel like books have been watered down, as you know, to what you said. And I don't know, like, how do we draw the line between the two? Like, you know, making a book that is, you know, mystical, but it's not grandiose. But again, like I should say, for the classic text, I feel like for books like, say, Pride and Prejudice, it's not like the easiest, like, you know, enemies to lovers romance, and it's like very flowery. But given the time period, of course, it should have been flowery in that sense, because like they were speaking that way, right? Yeah. So I don't know still, because like I feel like there's some modern books that are good.
No, modern books are good. I'm just saying that sometimes, like, when you make certain books that aren't supposed to be simple, you really miss out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were talking about one of the texts in your UW section, and you talked about how sometimes like someone does not get the information, you know. So how will you like make it so that if this not we, but you know, writers out there, but how will they make it so that when they write a piece of work, it's yes cryptical, it's like, you know, a mystery, it's artistic, but like the information is still palatable. Is that really possible?
I think that's like a two-way street, because it depends on the type of story you're trying to tell. Like if you're telling like a mystery story or like a fantasy story, like it's okay to be cryptic. You can be as mysterious as you want as long as the narrative still holds. Like if you're saying that the journey is to find Narnia, or I don't know, bro. Like overall the narrative should still be the same, but you can be as cryptic and descriptive and artistic as you want. But sometimes, like, if you're trying to tell a love story, for example, you might want to, like, simple it down. So I'm not saying that
love is a complicated thing, Rahmat.
Yes, but I'm just saying, like, no one wants to read, like, I don't know, maybe that's just me, but no one wants to read, like, I don't know, like, I don't know how to explain it, because, but no one wants to, like, maybe they do.
I feel like they should make love stories more complicated. I feel like, honestly, the problem with, like, the romance genre, like, the books that it's oversimplified, and it just, you know, there's this, like, whole rhetoric on TikTok right now, like, how book talk books are bad, like, romance book have, like, this cartoonish type of cover, then when you get in, it's just all smut and stuff like that. So I feel like romance should be made more complicated, because that's the reality. Like, if you want to, like, if love is a complicated thing in, like, both romantic relationships and friendships, you know, and, like, family relationships. So I feel like they should make romance books and, like, friendship books in general, like, more complicated. Yeah.
We need more friendship books. I would read that.
Oh, I'm writing a friendship story right now.
Okay.
Yeah, the main character is probably gonna die, so I hope you stay tuned for that.
I'll think about it.
You like friendship books?
No, I was just saying I would read that. I would feel more inclined to read that.
Okay, so what perspective have you gotten from now Litham? Moved from you writing, and you've said that you've been able to, like, say, appreciate rereading texts, right? So what's new perspective 2 semesters into Litham?
I think the fact that, like, a lot of our society is kind of based on these books, especially last semester, there were so many words that I didn't know where they came from. I can't think of any words right on my head right now.
I was almost asking you which words.
There was so many words, like, I can't think of any, but I just remember reading the text and being like, wait, is this where it comes from?
Oh, okay.
And that was so crazy to me, because I was like, oh my goodness, like, we always say these words, but, like, we didn't know where they come from, or we didn't, like, bother to search up where they come from, and now we know where they come from, and it's just so weird. So overall, I think I've enjoyed Litham. I might be in the minority for saying that.
For me, honestly, I have really, because, like,
okay.
I'm being graded to read a book. What blessing is that? that's a blessing.
But you don't get to choose the book.
But I still love it, because, like, I mean, you select the books for me. I don't have, like, to hunt and, like, get a book recommendation. Like, you give me the books, you know, and I read them and I get graded for them. And, like, I have to write a paper on, like, what it's like. Oh, that's a blessing, you know.
Sometimes you don't get to read them.
It's true. It's true. It's so true. This one time, my professor gave us a pop quiz, and I'm not good with pop quizzes. And he was, like, asking the spelling of, like, a specific name that was in, like, this book called Decameron.
This semester?
Yeah, like, I guess, like, you haven't read the Decameron, right?
I don't think we're reading the same books.
Yeah, it was, like, removed from the syllabus, but my professor put it in because he loves it. So he loves it so much.
I actually know the Decameron though, but it's there's a movie. I mean,
yeah,
a show
yeah,
on,
I saw
on
a
Netflix.
Netflix show.
I was gonna watch it, but then
Mhm.
I just never got to it.
Yeah, so came up with a pop quiz on the Cameron, and he asks us the spelling of names from the book, and I'm like, I don't know. I listened to the audiobook. That's the first thing. I didn't even look at the work. I just listened to the work. Yeah. So it was very interesting.
No, yeah, that's very valid.
It was hard.
That's very valid.
I got a 2.5.
Oh.
Out of 6. So
Okay.
2.5 out of 10.
You know, it could have been worse.
Could have been worse.
You know what? That kind of reminds me, in a lot of my classes, that I'm taking this semester, the only ones that consider participation is literally lit hum.
Mm-hmm.
Every other class is test, quiz.
Yeah,
test,
true.
quiz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, apart from my other class, yeah, but majority of them, most especially this semester, I feel like last semester there were classes that considered participation, but this semester they're no.
No, yeah. I think it was just that first semester, let's give it to them.
Yeah.
And then now they're man up.
Yeah, our science of psych class, there was this whole attendance rater. Where did the attendance rater go?
Wait, speaking of science of psych, tea for another day.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm wondering, because now you're premed, and you're doing both humanity classes and STEM classes.
Yeah.
How do you approach the two? Is there a different way of thinking through them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. Sometimes, especially this semester, I haven't read a lot of the Lit Hum books. I haven't read a lot of them. I read 3 out of 5 so far. So not too bad, but I need to read those 2 other books so I don't missing those books. So that's my goal for tomorrow when I'm outside, just reading and chilling. It's just I don't know, you really have to make time for the science classes because the science classes are only test or quiz.
Yeah.
They don't consider participation. There's no essays that you can write to get a good grade. You have to just do well on quizzes and tests. And I think I'm a good test taker. I used to be a good test taker, but I think for the past couple, maybe a year or months, I really have not been doing as well as I think I should be doing. And I really want to get back to that stage where I can be confident and say, yes, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing good. Right now, I'm not in the stage where I can, be yeah, I'm eating this up. Because I'm not. But I want to get there. And, I feel one thing that you have to do is, again, be willing to accept that sometimes you just will not get that score that you want. You could study so hard and you just will not get that score. But you have to be willing to keep working, because if you stop working, then you're actually going to slack off, and then you're actually going to fail. So that's something that you always have to have in the back of your head.
All right, so I guess for the only humanities classes you take are lit hum and writing, right?
Yeah.
So the way you approach, because lit hum, do you have a midterm in lit hum?
Yeah, I had a midterm.
Okay, so I'm guessing the way you approach the writing side, because you've talked about how sciences are technical, in the way you approach the exam, right? So how do you approach both the lit hum, say, how did you approach the midterm of lit hum, and how did you approach do you have a calc midterm?
I took calc last year.
Okay, what science class do you have?
I guess I'll give chem as an example.
Yeah, chem. So how do you approach chem and your midterm?
Speaking of chem, I really need to study for that. I have not been studying. I've really been breaking, not in the good way. Not in the good way.
After 30 minutes of work, I need a break.
Yeah, I haven't even started working. So, yeah, chem, you have to study 3-4 days, I think, in advance. I think that's really smart. For lit hum, I did put in an hour before the actual exam, which is so bad. Don't do that, because I literally did not read 2.5 books, and I just went and I won it. Let's see how that ends up. It'll be fun. I would hope so. Yeah, so lit hum, I think because it's mostly reading, I feel you could also infer, because there's certain texts or names that you'll see and you'll be okay, this is definitely it has to be from this book. And if the lines are a certain way, it has to be from this book. So I think Lit hum is more context clues, like you just have to like context clues, while like the science classes are more like, okay, you have to like know how to do the math, you have to know how to do this, you know, so that's the difference, I would say.
Okay, cool. So we had 2 points on what your reflections were, and then this was a whole tangent. So we had, you know, you should know how to study, and you should have fun and take breaks. So what other reflections do you have?
Honestly, I think those are my 2 main reflections. I don't... Finding a hobby, like if you don't have one, I think that's kind of in the fun section, but I think finding a hobby is really important. If you don't already have one, or like you should try to find something that's outside of the scope of either like extracurriculars for grad school, if you're going to grad school, or undergrad if you really want to be like one of those top students, or like class, like office hours are really good, but sometimes maybe like don't go to office hours. I'm just kidding. Go to office hours.
How often do you go to office hours?
I go pretty often. Like certain classes, like I go to office hours because that really helps me.
What do people do in office hours? I mean,
it depends. Like my office hours is because the teacher helps you with the work.
Okay.
So I really appreciate that because the teacher helps me with the work. I feel really motivated, and then when I get into the class, I don't feel like, oh god, I don't know anything. So yeah, I would say like it depends on which teacher though, because not all office hours are the same. But the office hours that I go to, I don't go to all my office hours. I go to like 2 class office hours. The ones that I do go to they help a lot, I think, because I've noticed that they help me, so I go. Like if they're not going to help me, I'm not going to go. You know, it's like a 2-way street.
Okay, cool. So the last question I usually ask is, what would you do to improve the education system, or what would you do to change the education system?
I think I kind of like what New York does in a way, where it's like, since middle school, you kind of already know what route you're going in. So like for high school, I think a lot of students from New York here, they've been taking like let's say if they were pre-med, they've been taking like classes that are going to prepare them for college to be pre-med. I think that's really good because, like, for example, my high school was very humanities focused. Like, a lot of my stuff was, like, that's why I also considered being a lawyer because, like, literally last year we went to Washington and I met with some
capital, I'm coming back.
Yeah, it was, like, I feel like if I was, like, into law or something, my life would be so much easier. not that it would be so much easier, but because my school has prepared me to do something that. But, like, my school did not prepare me to be a pre-med person. So I feel like I'm really lacking in a lot of things. And I think that the way New York does it, where it's like, if you know you're going to be a lawyer, you're taking classes like that are going to prepare you for like pre-law in college. If you know you're going to be a doctor, classes are going to prepare you for that. If you want to be an accounting class, they're going to prepare you for that. Like that type of narrative, it really helps students like get a feel of what they're going into before they actually go into it. Because like a lot of students, they've already gotten a chance to experiment. Like in high school, I did not get that opportunity to really experiment. I'm experimenting now, which can be really bad because you also want to have a good GPA and you want to do well. So I think that's one thing that I would do. Like have kind of like how New York does it a little, where like students are guided like pathways. I think it's really good. And also like of course encouraging students, supporting them if they want to change out the pathway, they obviously can. Like just building a lot more specialized schools, so students can have a feel of what they really want to do before they get into something and they realize that this is not what I want to do.
Okay, lovely. It's been great having you here today.
Thank you.